Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Patrick Prohaska, and I am very, very excited to have all of you with me here today because we're going to talk about a new program that I've been developing for probably the past 6 months. And I'm so excited to finally be, in a sense, giving birth to this project. It's been in the back of my mind for a very, very long time. And I think it's incredibly powerful and incredibly fulfilling for me as well. So, we're going to talk about practical mysticism. We're going to talk a little bit about a course that I am launching in 2 weeks on practical mysticism. And I'm going to open up the floor at the end for questions and discussion. So one thing that I would ask in advance is let's stay focused on the topic at hand. So when I do open up the floor for questions, please ask a question related to the material rather than something that is essentially a private session for you. That makes these events go a lot smoother. But I am just so excited about this because even though this feels like it's the direction I've been moving in for a very long time, I've had a lot of resistance to it. And over the course of the past year or two, I've been getting messages about expanding Lightbridge, expanding the Lightbridge program that I developed several years ago. And I've been in resistance to it because I've always felt that Lightbridge is already too big a program. And I was thinking that maybe the best thing for me to do would be get rid of Lightbridge, let somebody else take it over, let somebody else run Lightbridge, and then I can focus on other things that are really calling out to me. And what's been presented to me instead by my guides is this new program called Dreamscape. And Lightbridge is one aspect of Dreamscape. In fact, when I put together the Dreamscape course and the Dreamscape like outline of what it involves, it includes four different things, and Lightbridge is one of them. So this is a massive expansion on what I've done in the past. Um, I don't want that to be overwhelming for people. I don't want you to feel like, wow, this is too much of an investment in time, energy, and effort for me to get anything out of this. The Dreamscape course is designed to be an introduction to practical mysticism that's going to give you all sorts of practical tools and tips and techniques to step into mystical awareness, higher dimensional awareness, and actually begin to draw and create new earth, this higher dimensional reality in the here and now. And it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly empowering. It's not the type of thing where you may have tapped into previous paradigms about spiritual growth where moving into higher spiritual awareness means abandoning your day-to-day life and shutting down your relationships and your desires and your physical pleasures and so forth. This is a way of empowering your day-to-day life in the here and now and still have access to a incredible portal or gateway or wormhole that will lead you into higher dimensional awareness whenever you would like. And when you move into that higher dimensional awareness, you can simply bask in the glory of that type of higher dimensional awareness, or you can learn lessons, you can learn things about yourself, about the universe, about your history, about your lineage, and you can bring that information back into the present moment. So let's define what I'm talking about before I get into some of the details. And I did promise you in the email message that I sent out that I would be answering some very, very specific, empowering questions. I'll get to those in a moment. So, first of all, mysticism. Mysticism can be defined in hundreds of different ways. For me, the most important aspect of it is information and experiences that are normally hidden from the intellectual mind. So the human intellectual mind is stuck in three dimensions. Within our normal logical thought processes, what you would call conscious thinking, What you do is you experience the world in terms of hierarchies and categories and separation. You have linear time, you have linear space. Two objects are separate and distinct from each other, and they occupy different positions in linear time and linear space. They don't overlap. And that's the way we live our lives in this three-dimensional reality we're in. Our goal as human beings in a physical body is to learn how to navigate this three-dimensional experience using the intellectual mind to solve the problems that are presented for us. And that serves us very, very well, but it's not all there is. There is a vast storehouse of knowledge, and there is a vast galaxy full of experiences that go beyond what the intellectual mind can understand and process. And mysticism allows you to tap into that. Now, why do I call it practical mysticism? It's practical. What I'm doing here is practical because the goal, the primary goal, isn't the out of body experience for the sake of something bizarre and different. This is not recreational mysticism. This is practical mysticism. The goal is to empower you in your day to day life. Now, in my mind, there's nothing wrong with recreational mysticism. It's really beautiful to go through your portal and kind of float in an alternate dimension, float in an alternate galaxy, just kind of drift out there and see what there is, watch all of the um, geometry flow in front of your eyes. It's really beautiful to have these experiences, and they can be refreshing and they can be fun, but they can also be informative, and they can give you the insight that you need in order to live a much more empowered life when you return to this three-dimensional reality. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of practical mysticism. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can ask a question, you can raise your hands, and I'll probably pause to take questions. You can type questions into the Q&A or the chat even if you would like. But for now, I want to move into the things that I promised you in the email message that I sent out, just to give you a taste of what practical mysticism can bring you. So first of all, I promised you that I would talk about the number one reason people's manifestations fail. And the number one reason that people get stuck in not achieving their desires is because of a profound misunderstanding, or maybe there's an understanding, but an inability to apply the laws and principles of the universe, the harmonic laws, the hidden laws and principles of the universe that the intellectual mind usually doesn't pick up on, but that are in operation at all times. Namely, I'm talking about law of attraction and related principles. And recently, in the past several years, people have come to question or come to feel that law of attraction and the secret and so forth, all of that is um, kind of woo woo, and it promises too much, it under delivers and so forth. But I'm here to tell you that these laws and principles of the universe are in play at all times, and they operate constantly in everything that you do. So, why is it that people try to manifest for something and then it just crumbles, or they take two steps forward and then everything collapses, or they get the opposite of what they're trying to manifest? The reason is because in this three-dimensional world of ours, I hate to say it, but we have actually kind of turned into a bunch of whiners. So whining is not only expected and encouraged, it's also rewarded in our society. And what I mean by whining is we tend to get stuck in the energy of the things that we dislike about our lives. We tend to get stuck in the physical, emotional, and mental pain of things not going our way. And we share that pain with everyone around us who's willing to listen. And if they're not willing to listen, we have ways of sharing that information with them anyway. Um, a person in my family who I love very much has the what I call the wine smile. He is regularly in a bad mood, and he smiles in such a way to convey the information. I'm forcing myself to smile despite the fact that I am roiling with bad energy. So, we do this all the time. We convey the information that we're upset about something, we're annoyed with things, we get in the energy of the whining, we carry it with us. And when you are in that condition at a regular state, and then you begin to think about what you desire, what you would like to have instead, what happens is you get stuck in the energy of the pain of not having it rather than the joy of having it. And the magic, what creates the manifestation is the emotion and the point of focus that you have when you are doing your manifestation. So if you, in a sense, are, let's say you want to manifest material wealth, you want to manifest surplus in your life so that you have abundance and all your needs are met and you don't have to struggle and you don't have to worry about paying next month's rent. You want surplus. Well, it's one thing to feel the joy and feel it on a very intense, deep level, the joy of the security that comes from having surplus. And the joy that goes along with it of knowing that you can share your surplus with other people in order to benefit their lives. It's another thing to be in the energy of, I need this money because I can't pay rent and I'm worried and everything goes badly. And why am I always in debt? And why am I always struggling? That is the whiny energy that I'm usually talking about. So somebody will define very clearly what their desire is. They will know with absolute clarity what their goal is and what it would be like to have it. But then when they do their manifestation, they get stuck in the energy of not having it yet. And they feel the pain of not having it yet. And that's what drives them. If your affirmation is, I want to get rid of debt, the message you send out to the universe is debt. And that's what gets reflected back to you. So, the number one reason manifestations fail is because we as a society, we've been rewarded for whining. We find that sometimes there's power in whining. We find that we can get our way if we whine our way. If we complain enough about something, things tend to go our way. And then we think that the power is in the complaint, when the actual power of manifestation is in the pure joy of whatever your goal is and feeling that and savoring it right now. So that's the number one reason manifestations fail. It's we have to train ourselves to do this. It's very difficult at first for a lot of people to force themselves to see the positive as well as the negative. You need the negative, you need to be aware of the negative to clarify what your positive goal is. So it really does help to have had an experience of debt to really clarify for you what you would like to have instead. But when you're working towards that goal, the the bulk of your energy needs to be on the positive side of the ledger and not on the negative side. So everybody, let's just absorb that. Let's all take a deep breath. Take a very, very deep breath and hold it for a moment. And then release that when you're ready. Okay, so Brenda is asking the question, what you're saying makes sense, but I'm not sure that everyone can see or do this. Do you need to be psychic? And the answer is no, you do not need to be psychic. in order to do this. What you need to do is have the awareness and train yourself to think positive thoughts rather than negative ones. Or if you ever have a negative experience or a negative emotion about some situation in your life, you need to force yourself to feel the joy of what it would be like to have the alternative. And as you force yourself over time, that becomes a habit. Any action that you practice with regularity becomes a habit. In the same way that a well practiced thought gets encoded into the brain as a belief, a well practiced action turns into a habit. That means that you no longer need to force yourself to do it, you begin to do it automatically. And when you think about the things that you desire, you begin to think about what it would be like to have it rather than the pain of where you are right now. And it grows over time. So, intuition is definitely empowering, but you don't need it to have positive thinking. So, thank you so much for that question. Um, Oh, so Brenda clarified her question. Her question was referring to the beginning about the alternative place information. So, no, you don't need to be a psychic in order to step through your gateway or to be aware of your portal. But I will say this, when you go through your portal, your psychic, your intuition, those intuitional abilities are going to skyrocket in power. So you don't need to let me put it this way, you don't need to be a master of going through the portal in order to access the portal. As you become aware of it and go through it and take advantage of it and use it, your intuition is going to increase dramatically over time. So thank you for that clarification. Now the the question makes more sense. So thank you. Okay. So, some simple practices that you can do right now to expand your consciousness. And these are like very basic, very simple, almost like kindergarten level exercises, but they are super powerful. So, the first thing I want to teach you that you may never have thought about is slouching. If you slouch, what do you do when you slouch? Your shoulders roll forward, you get that curve in your back, you shut down your heart chakra. It's like you're spreading your arms around to shut down your heart chakra, and that causes a dampening effect in your entire energy system. If you ever find yourself slouching and you force yourself to sit up tall with proper posture, pull your shoulders back and down, what you do is you open your chest, you open your heart, you activate and you stimulate all of the energy channels in your body that flow through the heart chakra. And it has physical impact as well. When you stand with proper posture, when you walk with proper posture rather than slouching, you stimulate the production of estrogen and testosterone and other um, hormones that energize your body and make you present in your physical world. They stimulate your creative centers, that is the second chakra and the fifth chakra, which are which surround and encompass the heart chakra. And they also, well, let me put it this way, when you're slouching, you're putting stress on your body. The body isn't designed to be in this position, even though it feels comfortable to a lot of people. Your body begins to produce cortisol when you're slouching. Cortisol causes you to gain weight. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So you end up slipping into this negative feedback loop when you're slouching. The slouching um, impacts your hormone levels, your cortisol levels increase, you begin to put on belly weight, you begin to lose muscle tone, and then you slouch even more. And before you know it, you turn into like a walking blob. So, this will help expand your consciousness. Why does it help you expand your consciousness? Because it stimulates, activates, and opens all of the energy channels through your body that flow through your heart. And as you'll learn in the Dreamscape course, The best way for you to access that portal into higher dimensionality is through the heart. If your heart is shut down, it's very difficult to go through that portal without some sort of powerful stimulus like a drug or something to get you through. When you open your heart, the portal becomes evident to you. So that's one way to expand your consciousness. The second thing, whoops, the second way to expand your consciousness is to become consciously aware of your breathing patterns and your breathing habits. Like I mentioned, your heart is the gateway to higher dimensional awareness for you. It's where your portal is. Your lungs are part of your heart chakra. Your lungs are inside your heart chakra. And when you're breathing shallowly, you are impeding the flow of energy through your entire energy system. When you're breathing deeply, consistently, and breathing in a connected way, that is, you're not holding your breath between breaths or exhale and then hold your breath for a long time. When you're breathing in a connected way, it creates connection with all of reality. So, connected breathing creates connection in your body and in the beyond. So, breathing. So, become aware of your breath patterns. Now, it's very, very common. It's, in fact, it is kind of built into the way the human body functions. When something dangerous happens, you begin to hold your breath. The fear centers in the body cause you to start breathing in a shallow way and probably in a rapid way as well. The way to shut down the feelings of overwhelm, the feelings of fear and anxiety and worry are to force yourself to take very long, slow, deep breaths way deep into the belly and then release them. So, training yourself to become aware of your breathing patterns and taking action to correct your breath when you find that you're holding it. That's important. The other thing is that we as human beings in modern society, we're all concerned about how our physical body looks. Now, if you increase your posture, if you stop slouching, it's automatically going to make you look taller and leaner. So there's one reason to stop slouching. And when you do that, what most of us do in order to look thinner than we really are is we suck in our gut. When we suck in our gut and tighten our belly, especially when we're meeting somebody that we find attractive, what happens is you prevent the flow of oxygen down into the lower portion of your lungs. You're breathing shallowly when you're sucking in your gut. And that shuts down, that increases the cortisol flow, all of it. We'll talk more about this in great detail in the course itself. So become aware of your breathing patterns and recognize when you're sucking in your gut and the impact that's having on you. The third thing that will expand your conscious involvement in the beyond is taking time to be alone in nature. And I'm not talking about just taking a walk through a forest somewhere and being stuck in your thoughts about what needs to happen during the day and your anxieties and the argument you had and all of that. Really take advantage of secluded places in nature where you can shut down your mind and essentially tap into the energy that's flowing through nature. Now, this it sounds like an easy practice. I know it's impractical for a lot of people because of travel restrictions and so forth. My favorite hiking places right now in Palm Springs are inaccessible because of the virus, but I go out for long walks anyway in different locations. And you don't need to be in a dense forest in order to be out in nature. You can just take a walk down the street and imagine that nature is around you and kind of quiet your mind. So that's another really powerful tool for expanding your consciousness. It, like I said, it's a kindergarten level tool because what it does is it puts you in conscious connection with what surrounds you as opposed to being stuck in your mind where your negative thoughts are. It helps you bypass those negative thoughts and really begin to feel the energy patterns that surround you. And you'll notice as you come into touch with nature that energy infuses everything that you come into contact with. And you can tap into that. And if you have that expanded flow of energy through your heart and you're connecting with the energy flow in nature, it's going to have an impact on your consciousness as well. So, one bonus, I'm going to give you a bonus. I said I was going to give you three simple things to expand your consciousness. One more little practice that I love to do at night or when you're in a dark room and you close your eyes. Most of us think that what we're seeing is just darkness. But if you really tap in to your visual centers, when you close your eyes and or you're like asleep at night or trying to fall asleep, you'll notice that there are lots of little flashy lights, that there are swirls of color and swirls of light in your visual field. Tap into those. And then one practice in particular that I enjoy doing that will really get you in touch with the energy field in your body. You're in the dark room, you have your eyes closed, it seems pitch dark. If you take one of your hands and with your eyes closed, move it around in front of your face, I can guarantee you, you will see your hand glowing through your closed eyes. And that will give you a deeper connection to the way energy flows and the way you can tap into it in a way that doesn't involve the physical eyes. You're using the higher vision centers, the higher vision centers in your brain that go beyond the physical to see the energy that's in your body as you're looking at your hand with your eyes closed. Practice it tonight, give it a try, see what happens. You might be astounded by what you see. Give it time. If you are closing your eyes and you're moving your hand in front of your face and you don't see anything, keep practicing. Eventually, you will get it, and that can be a beautiful growth experience for you. Okay, so time for a drink. The next thing that I want to cover is how to open your gateway right now. And this is actually a red herring. Um, and the reason I set this up this way is because the vast majority of us, myself included, I've spent most of my life looking for my portal, looking for my gateway into higher dimensional awareness. And the visual image I had was there's a wormhole out there somewhere. And if I just find that wormhole, I can walk through it into higher dimensional awareness. And what I've come to learn and experience is that that's not the way it works at all. You are the portal that you've been looking for this entire time. So this is, we've gone from a kindergarten teaching to a graduate school level teaching. You are the wormhole to higher dimensional awareness. You are the gateway into higher dimensional awareness. So really all you have to do to open your gateway right now is just surrender to it. Now, of course, there's some training that needs to be done in order to figure out how to surrender, how to access it, how to even be aware that you yourself are a portal into higher dimensional awareness. But that's what we're primarily going to talk about in the course, how to access that. So next thing I want to talk about really quickly is what powerful tool do you have that most people ignore? If you have access to the chat, let's throw out some guesses. So type into the chat if you have access to it, what you think the powerful tool is that you have right now that most people ignore. And I'll just pause for a second here. So intuition, yes, everybody has intuition. Laura says breath. Let's see if there are other guesses here. Those are the two I see so far. Okay, so attention, meditation. Okay, so meditation is a practice, attention is a practice or an activity. The thing that you have built into your physical body right now is your breath, it's your lungs. Now, when I was in a meditative state on the other side of the portal a few weeks ago, I had this vision, this message came to me. My guide, Mama Sita, came to me and she said that she gave me this analogy. She said that your lungs are literally your angel wings, but you keep your angel wings folded up and stored inside your body. And if you want to unfurl and spread your angel wings, you need to use your angel wings, that is your lungs, in order to inflate them and spread them. So, breath work is an incredibly powerful way for you to access higher dimensional consciousness. And in the fourth module of the course I'm teaching, we're going to spend a good chunk of time going through breath work exercises that you can do in order to access your portal. And I just want to tell a quick story. Many decades ago, this had to be 1991. It was 1990. A person who was an expert in breath work offered to guide me through this guided breath meditation. And we started doing the breath work, and probably 30 or 45 seconds into the breath work, I was like blasted into a different universe. And it was like super powerful, super unexpected. I thought maybe I just like feel energy flowing through my body, but boom, I was gone, and it freaked me out. It freaked me out. And then I just kind of pulled myself back and I came like crashing back down to earth again. And for like a decade after that, I was scared. I was scared to do any type of breath work at all because that was such a profoundly bizarre, unexpected, scary, in some ways stressful experience. I didn't know what was happening. Um, so I was, young and didn't really know what was going on. I had no idea about mysticism or anything like that back then. And I learned in that moment that I could do that anytime I wanted to. I mean, if if I wanted to, I could do those breath exercises on my own and have that experience again and maybe control it the next time. But because it was such a profound experience, I didn't practice any breath work at all again for a good 10 or 15 years after that. And now what I want to do with you is teach you some breathing techniques that can help you go through your portal into higher dimensional awareness, but not have it be a scary experience or a super dramatic experience. For me, it was almost traumatic. For the person who was guiding me, it was traumatic for him as well. He said he was never going to lead me through breath work again. So anyway, that's part of what we're going to be doing here. So I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the course that's coming up. It's launching in 2 weeks, the Dreamscape course, and then we'll get into your questions and maybe do some energy work. Um, it's divided into 4 modules. And the first module is the hidden harmonic laws of the universe. And in that section, we're going to be talking about the conscious creation of reality, how consciousness itself creates matter, the scientific view, and I'm a very scientifically minded person myself, but the scientific view is that consciousness arises out of a certain combination of um, designs and electrical circuitry in the brain. So matter creates consciousness. But I firmly believe it's the opposite. I firmly believe that consciousness creates matter and that the universe itself is something that emerged out of a great ocean of consciousness. And we can talk a little bit about that in the course. We'll be talking about the harmonic laws and principles of the universe, law of attraction, and so forth, how you can make them work for you. There's a section called doing, that is a manifestation and deliberate creation. And then another section called being, which is spontaneous creation through your charisma. It's having that energetic pattern that automatically causes you to attract certain things in your life. And then, of course, practical exercises for expanded consciousness. The second section is the waking dreamscape state and how you can use it to empower your life. And this is Lightbridge. So the second section is all about what I teach in the Lightbridge course. What I call the dreamscape state is the name that I use for the theta brainwave state. I prefer to call it the dreamscape state because in theta healing, Vianna Steibel has pretty much taken ownership of the word theta. And there are lots and lots of healing systems out there that tap into the theta brainwave state. Hypnosis, for example, explicitly uses the theta brainwave state in order to rewrite what's in the subconscious mind. So, hypnosis, theta healing, awakening dynamics, Thrive Energetics when I first created it, Lightbridge as it is now, the One Command, all of these are different systems that use the theta brainwave state, that is the dreamscape state, in order to change your thoughts, your beliefs, your judgments, your expectations, and so forth, and actually do healing in the subconscious mind, which then bubbles up to the physical. So the second module is on Lightbridge. The third module is on the power of lucid dreaming. And you may remember a year ago, I began to put together a program called Lucid Living. And then that kind of got pushed on the back burner when COVID came around. Um, Lucid dreaming is about how to tap into the power of the dreamscape brainwave state when you're asleep. Lightbridge is about a waking theta brainwave state. Lucid living is about tapping into the power of the sleeping theta brainwave state. So it's about your dreamscape playground, about how you can tap into your lucid dreams, how that is how to lucid dream in the first place, and then bring that into your waking consciousness. What is lucid dreaming? Lucid dreaming is what happens when you're asleep and dreaming, but you are consciously aware that you are dreaming. You know that it's a dream, and therefore you can choose what happens in the dream. And it's a beautiful exercise. It's a beautiful, fun experience when you know that you're dreaming, and therefore you're free to do anything you want. And you can pull that into your waking consciousness state. So that module is going to have a workshop on sleeping itself, because you can't really get into the sleeping dreamscape state if you have trouble sleeping. And then there's a lucid dreaming workshop as well. And then the final section is your portal to the beyond. Your portal to the beyond. That is how to access that gateway, that wormhole that you have inside of you to get into higher dimensional awareness and float in an alternate galaxy, be out there. This is done in a number of different ways. You can do it through pineal gland stimulation. You can do it through plant medicine. I've done it many times with ayahuasca. You can do it with breath work, breathing exercises, create that experience that I talked about of being blasted into an alternate dimension. But whatever you're doing to access your portal and move through it, the one thing that blocks you from going through it most often is the ego. So we need to talk about the ego, how you can shut down or kill the ego to get it out of the way so you can go through your higher dimensional portal in your mind. So I'm including a lecture called The Joy of Ego Death. The Joy of Ego Death. I love that title. I think I'm going to write a book with that title as well, The Joy of Ego Death. So that's the course. Now, really quickly, the course itself is in 4 modules, which will be presented slowly over the course of 4 weeks. It includes 5 live Zoom sessions, which are all on consecutive Sundays. You can study at your own pace. You can start whenever you would like. And you have registration for life. So as I update the course in the future, if I completely rewrite the course in the future, you'll already be registered for it. You'll always get the updates. And I do think that I will be updating this course regularly because, as some of you know, I'm launching a podcast in, um, well, the official podcast launch date is the equinox, the spring equinox. So it's March 21st. And the podcast is called Dreamscape Travelogue. And I'm sure in the process of interviewing people and talking about their out of body experiences and their near death experiences and what they do in order to tap into higher dimensional awareness and interviewing singers and musicians and so forth for the podcast, I'll come into a deeper understanding of the material that I'm teaching in the course. And every now and then I want to refresh or redo one of the lectures. So that course is probably going to be refreshed regularly as I go deeper and deeper into my understanding of the material. And what's going to give me that deeper understanding of the material is the podcast that I'm putting together right now. And I'm really excited about that, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We'll talk about that later. So scheduling. On February 7th, we'll have the live launch event and the opening live lecture, and we'll all interact with each other a bit. And then I'm doing something really fun. What's been missing in my life the past year with COVID and all the restrictions, what's been missing in Lightbridge is a sense of just fun and joy and just frothy exuberance. So on February 14th, we're going to have a Valentine's Day dance, ecstatic dream dance. And the way this will work is it will be a Zoom session, but it'll be the type of Zoom meeting session where everybody's camera is live and you'll come into the room, you'll have your camera set on your dance space. I'm going to play music and we're all going to dance together for about an hour. And then we'll talk about our experiences dancing. And the goal of this isn't just to have a dance party for Valentine's Day. The goal of this is to tap into how you can use movement and dance and sound in order to flow into a higher dimensional state. So, body movement, dance, and sound are incredibly powerful tools for accessing higher dimensional awareness. So we'll talk about that. We'll make it educational. I do need to tell you that I will not be recording this because everyone's going to be on camera, and it would just be too complicated. One person says don't post it, then well, I wouldn't be able to. So that will not be recorded. It's the only session we're doing that will not be there will not be a replay for, and it's exclusively for people in the Dreamscape course. Now, if not very many people sign up for the Dreamscape course, I'll probably invite other people to join the dance just to kind of fill it out a bit because it it just feels awkward only having like 5 or 6 people, and who knows how many would show up. So that'd be fun, and I'll be doing more ecstatic dream dance in the future. The next time I do it will be on the launch day for the podcast. On the equinox, we're going to do an equinox ecstatic dance, and that will be open to the public. On February 21st, I'm doing the sleep workshop, and that's going to be a free workshop, free and open to the public. So it's not just going to be the people in Dreamscape, but the general public in that one as well. But the following week, I'm doing a lucid dreaming workshop. How to lucid dream, step by step practices that you can do in order to begin lucid dreaming tonight. So we'll do that on February 28th. And that's going to be a paid workshop, but everybody in the Dreamscape course will have free access to it. So just want to say this right now because it always happens. If you sign up for the Dreamscape course, do not sign up for the Lucid Dreaming workshop. You'll automatically be registered for it. And then we'll do our closing celebration on March 7th and shut it down. And then in the in between, those are Sunday events. During the week, I'll drip out the lectures as pre recorded lectures that you can listen to at your own schedule. And I can hardly wait to do this. I'm really excited about it. So, let's move into some questions. So does anybody have any questions? If you have a question, you can raise your hand by using the participant feature. If you're on the telephone, you can raise your hand by hitting *9, or you can type a question into the chat or use the Q&A. So let's see if there are questions coming. So I want to give a little bit of time just in case somebody's typing out a question slowly. And if not, just to kind of fill the time while you're formulating or asking your question, let's all get connected here. So everybody just set aside whatever is distracting you if there's something distracting you. Of course, if you're typing out a question, you can complete that, but let go of anything and everything that might distract you from connecting with the group or anything that might endanger you as we go into kind of a shift in reality. And please allow me to connect with you energetically. And as I'm connecting with you energetically, simply feel whatever it is you're feeling as that connection is being made. Some of you might feel a tickling or an effervescence or a bubbling in your heart center. Because when I connect with people, I try to connect heart to heart. Some of you may feel some tickling or effervescence on the top of your head. And with some people, because they are more in their head or more intellectually minded, I tend to connect with them through the crown chakra rather than through the heart. Some people have a heart wall that deflects connecting energy, and therefore the only way to get to it is through the crown of the head, or the best way, I should say. So simply feel. Notice what you're feeling. Notice if there are any energy shifts in your body. Notice if there is a feeling of numbness and calm spreading through your body. So I am slipping into the theta brainwave state, the dreamscape state myself. And because I am connected with you energetically, I'm extending or I'm pulling you into that dreamscape state as well. So you may begin to feel a numbness or a comfortable kind of floaty feeling drifting through your body. That's the feeling of the theta brainwave state. And in this state, I want to do a little bit of light bridge, belief sculpting, and attunement work. What I would like to do is increase your self awareness. So you can become aware of your breathing patterns, and you can become aware of when you are engaging in negative thinking and what I was referring to earlier as whining. And through that awareness, you can choose something different for yourself, something more empowering. So please just allow this energetic imprint. I'm drawing it from your higher self through the light bridge technique. We're taking the energetic imprint of self awareness as it's understood and enjoyed by your higher self and imposing it or offering it to you in your current egoic persona now. Because your higher self is a master of self awareness, even if you're not. And it knows exactly what you need in order to develop it. So let's allow that to sink in. And anywhere you've decided that self awareness is dangerous or it's painful or you'll only notice negative things about yourself or it's too much thinking or it's overwhelming for you or anything else of the sort that will block you from developing self awareness, let's just clear all that away right now. Let's also bring in a deeper willingness to accept that you may be wrong about a lot of your deepest beliefs. That most of your belief systems were either taught to you by other people with an agenda, or you learned them exclusively in terms of our three-dimensional reality with all of the competition over limited resources that we have. And therefore, from a higher dimensional perspective, you may be wrong about just about everything that you believe. So just allow that as a possibility. And this way, when you become aware that a belief system or a thought that you have is inherently limiting, and that perhaps there's a better or more empowering way to see the world, you won't cling to the limiting thought. You'll let it go because it's okay for you to have been wrong about what you've believed. Now let's just complete that light bridge attunement for self awareness. Everyone take a very, very deep breath and hold it for a moment to lock that in. Oh, and release when you're ready. Okay, beautiful. So I am going to unmute Kathleen, who has her hand raised. So Kathleen,
Hi, Patrick. Can you hear me?
hi, yeah, how are you
Hi.
doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you. I'm just really loving everything that you've shared with us so far. It's
Thank you.
really, really exciting. I mean, I know you come out, you're so prolific with your courses and material, but I think this is the most exciting to me personally.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Mm,
Um, so I'm curious to ask, in the past, you would always very clearly state that you could work with us directly, but obviously not on any other people. Um, so with this new material, let me just give an example. I'm newly elected to my townhome association board. So I'm one of 40 townhome owners.
mhm.
I'm one of only 3 people on the board. And in order to create harmony and, efficient management and get things moving financially in a really positive way, um, can I do that as one person, or could I be working with my other townhome
Yeah.
members?
So the principles that I've laid out in the past still hold true. You cannot, and I think you should not, and it's rare that I use the word should. You should not and you cannot really force somebody else to do something or to behave in a way that they don't want to behave in. But what you can do is model an energy yourself and invite others to share in your energy. And I know that sounds like a cop out or like a lazy answer, but there's really a lot of power in it. So when you kind of increase your ability to see beyond the physical and to have higher dimensional awareness and like bring it into your present world, it's not something that you intellectually explain to other people and say you should believe this. It's something that radiates out of you through the charisma that you develop as you bask in higher dimensional awareness. And other people are either going to go into resistance to it, or they're going to say, hey, I like that and I want it for myself. And over time, you will just naturally clarify your friendships and your relationships in your life. And after a while, you will only have encounters with people who harmonize with the energy that you desire. But see, the problem that we have in our three-dimensional world is I believe one thing, this person over here believes something different. I'm going to tell them why they're wrong and try to explain to them why I'm right. And what
Mhm.
happens is that doesn't change their mind, that actually reinforces their belief systems. So whenever we try to force our viewpoint on another person, There are some people who would like openly listen to what you're trying to say, but most people go into the energy of formulating their response or fortifying their defense mechanisms. So you telling somebody else what your beliefs are often reinforces the belief system of the person you're speaking to. And that's just a three-dimensional tool that tends to backfire on us. Um, so you will, as you become more and more empowered, things will begin to flow more harmoniously in your life. You will stop attracting into your life people who get in your face and disagree with you about things. Those people will not find you interesting anymore and they'll move on. And then like everything will flow. So hopefully, does that make sense at all? Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does make sense, and, I'm just to further clarify, though, it sounds like something that's just happening naturally. It's not like I have to actively send energy to anybody or do
Well,
anything.
as
Is
I've
that
said
correct?
many times, you can in fact send energy to other people. If you send unconditional love energy to other people, there is a power in that. And
Okay.
most of us are like, oh my God, why on earth would I ever send unconditional love to that person over there who's destroying the planet, or that politician over there who's that Nazi over there? Why would you send unconditional love? Because the only reason they're in that position of destroying the planet and trying to bring others down is because of the pain they themselves are feeling. So maybe you kind of radiating unconditional love energy can impact other people in ways that you're completely unaware of on the physical level. So
Okay.
yeah, I hope that
And
doesn't
then
sound yeah.
and then just how you said it, how it didn't work to, challenge somebody's beliefs. So what would you do instead? Would you just ask open-ended questions and get them to state what they
No,
think first, or
so this is opening up into a completely different discussion, but essentially, you have to make a decision at a certain point um, about whether you even need to convince somebody else of your opinion. You standing in your radiant power and saying, "This is what I believe, and I believe it because this is my truth," that is a beautiful thing. And you speaking your truth to the world is a beautiful thing. And I highly recommend it for everyone. If somebody else says, no, I disagree with you, this is my truth, rather than like battling with them over who's right, what you do is you just basically get into that energy I've talked of several times of, okay, that's one opinion, this is mine, and kind of sharing it and letting the energy of your opinion go outward.
okay,
I hope that makes sense. And it's something that as you practice it and over time it begins to work for you, then you recognize that it's a good way. Now, I'm not opposed to telling people that they're wrong when they're doing something bad. When I see
mhm,
somebody actively doing something harmful that is destroying the planet or hurting other people, I step up and I say something about it. Um, and there is something called the judicious use of shame that is meant to um, make people aware of the pain that they're causing other people. But that's all stuff that goes in like the impact course that I taught. It's not something that's really front and center here.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was all
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a
Thank
good
you.
it's a good start. Like you said, it's probably a bigger discussion, but I appreciate your what you did share.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So let's see. I've got Jesse. I love how you explained the hunched shoulders. Any chance of clearing the energy under the need to do that? Well, Uh, that's a big topic. So the energy that causes people to hunch forward is usually connected to whatever heart wall that they have. It's a feeling that you need to protect your heart and shield it. So there's an unwillingness to be vulnerable. There's a fear of vulnerability that causes people to shut down their heart. In some cases, it's just a lazy habit that people have picked up over time and they don't realize they're doing it, but it bleeds into the development of a heart wall. So let's do just a really quick energetic cleanse right now to help you let go of any heart wall that you're holding on to so you don't feel the need to stay protected and shielded. So you can drop your body armor, and it's that body armor that weighs you down and causes you to slouch. So let's just allow the release of whatever heart wall that you're ready to let go of now, or at least diminish any heart walls that you have. And of course, we could spend an entire 2 hours just working on this. So I want to start the process now for you. Okay, and anywhere and everywhere you've decided that vulnerability is dangerous, or you can't stand vulnerability, or you feel like you're being attacked if you open your heart, you feel like other people will taint your heart, anything at all that blocks you from releasing the shielding that you have around your heart, let's clear those beliefs now. Beautiful. Everyone take a very, very deep breath and hold it for a moment. Oh, and release when you're ready. So beautiful. I've got Angela writing that I've really found that Tai Chi and yoga helps with this. So, yes, there are all sorts of techniques for accessing higher consciousness. And we'll talk about a lot of them in the course. So, Tai Chi is one, yoga is one, using mandalas and mantras, that is, phrases or chanting or listening to harmonic rhythms and so forth, using binaural beats, all of them can help you access higher consciousness. And there are lots and lots of different ways, and they're not universally effective on everyone. You'll find what works best for you. So I've got a hand raised. It's a number ending in 0447. And I've hit the allow to unmute. So you're muted on your end. Hi.
Hi, Patrick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, wonderful. It's Wilma.
Hi,
I did
Wilma.
raise my hand. Like, I've been stuck in this financial lack, limitation, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I raised my hand because when you're talking about the posture, I just realized when I was, like many decades ago, when I was in flow, I was always complimented on my posture, like, because I'm very tall, and people would say, you stand so, I wish I had posture like yours. I just realized while I'm listening to you on this call, that's something that over the past, I can't remember how long, I'm very aware and have to kind of like, if I'm passing a window, oh my God, look, I'm slouched over. So it's very interesting that this is tying in with the heart chakra and everything. And I was very, very present and intending to receive the clearing that you just did. And that's why I raised my hand. Can you have a look in my field and see if it seems to be a separate thing that's making the posture thing? Because when I'm listening to the heart thing, I'm like, okay, I cannot slump, but I'm thinking there's something there.
What it is with you and with probably everyone else on the call who slouches regularly is over time there's been a feedback loop where various things have caused you to just kind of, you know, it's when you're disappointed. What do you do when you're disappointed? And you do, you,
It's like a defeatist thing. Yes.
yeah. So over time, disappointments have caused you to slouch, and a well-practiced action turns into a habit. Slouching has become habitual, and then that feeds into the energy not flowing through your system properly. It feeds into the hormones not being produced properly, excess of cortisol and other stress hormones, and then it just, as a negative feedback loop, it just snowballs very slowly after that. And so it's constantly being reinforced every time you have something stressful happen and you have that disappointment experience. So frustration and disappointment causes slouching. The slouching leads to more disappointment and frustration, and that reinforces the slouching. And the only way out of it is conscious awareness of what your body is doing and taking action to correct it. So forcing yourself to have the tall posture and to take the deep breaths instead. So thank you.
That
And
makes
that'll
sense.
help a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So awesome. So let me put you back on mute, and then we're going to go to Jesse. So Jesse, I've hit the allow to unmute button, and you might be muted on your end. And I know that this has happened before where you weren't able to unmute yourself on your end. So I'm just going to give you a little chance there. And if you can't unmute on your end, you can type your question in. And but you did type in something about disappointment. Yeah, disappointment. As you know, if you've studied Lightbridge or you've studied like a number of other systems, trauma clearing is the number one thing that healers tend to do. Trauma clearing is the number one thing that life coaches tend to do. So, disappointment and frustration, in my mind, both of those are what I call micro trauma, miniature trauma. Every time you have a disappointment, that is a traumatic experience in miniature. And you may completely forget that the traumatic experience ever happened to you because it was such a minor annoyance, but the impact of the trauma is still there on a micro level and it can build up slowly over time. So I definitely love clearing away micro trauma as people have that. So Jesse, I'm getting that you can't talk, so I'm going to give you a second to type in a question, and otherwise I will move towards closing. So the course itself starts in 2 weeks. The registration page, the information page, all of that is on my website. I'm going to send out an email message later today with a direct link to the registration page. And for courses that are this size, in the past, I've normally set them at either $379 or $179. This is going to be a $179 course, but I want to get as many people enrolled in it as possible. And what that means is that until February 7th, the day it actually launches, the pre registration rate is going to be $97 instead of 179. And I've never offered a course at that price. So that's the price I used to set for years ago for basic audio packages. And this is like a full-fledged course with supporting, it's probably going to be 5, 10, 15, maybe 25, 30 recordings total. So I think that's an incredible price. If you still can't make $97 work, if you have legitimate financial constraints, I do have a scholarship fund available. And the way the scholarship fund works is that for items that are below $100, I usually do a 40% um, knockoff through the scholarship fund because I think it's important for everyone to be invested in something. If something is free, people just don't engage with it, they don't take it seriously. So scholarships are at the 40% rate at anything under $100. Anything over $100, I set scholarships at the 50% rate. But you need to contact me individually, and we need to discuss your financial constraint. I don't need evidence. I don't need you to send me your tax refund, your tax report, or anything like that. But I do want to make that available to people who have financial constraints. But this is already 45% off the regular price, $97 until the day that we um, launch. And Jessie says she's looking forward to the sleep workshop. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that as well because my sleep has been a bit choppy lately. So, okay, everybody, I am going to play some closing music for you, but first I need to shut down the recording. Thank you very much. This is Patrick Prohaska from Lightbridge and Dreamscape.